nothing but time. No walking talks. And for those of you that are chilling with me in the live chat pre-show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Welcome inside the channel. I'm bobtrosset. As always, this is where I bring you Baltimore sports and beyond. We've got Lamar news to discuss. John Harbaugh addressing Emory Jones Jr. We'll discuss that. Updates, physical updates in terms of health and recovery timetables for Tavius Robinson and our Darius Washington, and a number of other things, including practice attendance reports. And that's where we'll begin, because for the second consecutive week, Lamar Jackson has missed a Wednesday practice. Yes, it is important to note that last week he was a full participant the days that followed, Thursday and Friday. But with that knee that popped up on the Wednesday injury report, it was serious enough for him to be sidelined on Wednesday, and that is the case today as well. We will wait and see. Typically after 4 o'clock, which it's 7 minutes after at the moment, we'll hear from the Ravens and their social media accounts detailing the first of 3 injury reports to see if indeed he is yet again listed with a knee. So that and a whole lot more is what I have coming up. As always, it's brought to you by my friends at Preston Automotive Group. The guest line access is available to you in the live chat. Welcome to Steve Loop, father of Tyler, who's crushing it. And boy, do they need every single one of those kicks. He was 3 for 3 on Sunday in Cleveland, including a couple extra points. So well done to Tyler. And Steve, welcome back to the program. Welcome back to all of you for being with me tonight. Guest lines are open. DPG, you're going to be first up on the guest lines, even though you actually haven't called in. Will's sitting in the waiting room. He thinks he's first, which he's going to be, assuming that you're going to lay down. I just get the sense that that's going to be the case. But we'll give you another minute, and I'll go through my opening monologue. And if I have to cut to Will first, then I got to cut to Will first. So let's go. Practice attendance. Jamison Hensley, one of the many beat reporters on the scene, as he always is, detailed it for us in the Twitter space. And 8 players. I mean, it's week 12. Well, some of this is week 12, right? Nicks and bruises, and that's how it goes this time of year. Every single team's dealing with it. Michael Penix was just shut down for his 3rd ACL repair of his career. Not professionally, but it goes back to his collegiate days as well. So every team's dealing with it. Luckily for the Ravens, they're in much better shape than they were a month ago, both win-loss record-wise and obviously from a health perspective as well. But Lamar was one of 8 players that was not practicing today. Kyle Hamilton, Roquan Smith, Ronnie Stanley, Andrew Voorhees, Rashad Bateman, Isaiah Likely, and Keon Martin are the other 7. Marlon Humphrey, who just had a pin placed in his finger, returned. And Justice Hill, who missed Sunday in Cleveland with a toe, he also returned. And of course, it's Ravens and Jets on Sunday. Baltimore is going to be a double-digit favorites at home. 1 o'clock kickoff inside the bank. Ravens trying to get to above 500 for the first time this season. What do we think about the Lamar side of things? Well, before I give you my thoughts, John Harbaugh gave his at his presser earlier this afternoon.
On that, as far as the any more information, public information I want to share on any of those guys. So, guys, week 11, guys play. It's a physical nature of the sport. Some guys don't practice on Wednesday. We'll try to get everybody available for Sunday that we can, and I will see as the week goes on, who becomes available.
All right. So again, no surprise there. He's going to be non-committal and vague when it comes to, it just doesn't serve him at all. It doesn't serve his team, doesn't serve the strategy going into Sunday against, yes, a 2-8 Jets team, but hey, they've got something to prove. Maybe they're not playing for the postseason at this point, but Tyrod Taylor's got absolutely nothing to lose. He still thinks he's worthy of being a starting caliber quarterback in this league. They just benched Justin Fields. They had a fire sale prior to the deadline, a fire sale, I should say, earlier this month. And Aaron Glenn is still in year 1 trying to prove himself in the midst of lofty expectations that come with the New York market. I saw a comment a minute ago from T. Davis, and T. Davis writes, there was no way you watched that Lamar game and didn't think he would miss at least one day of practice this week. I agree with you. There was no way. There isn't a way. I did not watch that game and say to myself, man, Lamar's going to be a full participant all week long, the following week leading into the Jets game. No, I didn't. Matter of fact, this is not a surprise to me whatsoever. The reason why I'm having this conversation and the reason why I think it's relevant is because of the state of this offensive line and what could become, as we discussed on the collective last night with Jeff and Cole, this could be, this position group, this deficiency, this weak spot among all three phases could ultimately become the fatal flaw that keeps this team from where it wants to go. And that is past a postseason berth. That's deep into the postseason in January and ultimately playing for a Super Bowl in February in San Francisco. They're far from that, as a lot of teams are at this point, in a very, very balanced, parity-driven year that it's been in this league. But I got news for you guys. This is a group that is struggling mightily. And when you take a look at the pass protection ratings composite, as you're seeing here, the Ravens are the 28th ranked group when it comes to pass pro. And as you see here, and I'll just read the way that this is scaled, the notes as provided on this graphic is at a PFF grade 40%. Well, basically, what this is overall measuring is, forget the notes. What this is measuring is pass protection, league-wide pass protection. And the Ravens find themselves 28th out of 32 teams. It's been a perfect storm up and down the line. Ronnie has struggled, particularly against elite competition, much like he has in 2 games against Myles Garrett and the Cleveland Browns defensive front, week 2 and just this past weekend. Andrew Voorhees has struggled in pass protection. Tyler Linderbaum has struggled at times this year. Daniel Fa'alele is the obvious weak link, the elephant in the room when it comes to both pass pro deficiencies and run and overall run game, run blocking deficiencies. And Roger Rosengarten has regressed when you take a look at his 10-game sample size over the course of decent chunk of this season. We're in the second half of the season already. Joe Burrow's been listed as a full participant in today's practice. I just saw randomly segueing over to my timeline off to the left. Joe Burrow, 2 months removed from that toe procedure, has been listed as a full participant in today's practice. Or what, 10 days out? No, excuse me. Today's Wednesday. 8 days out. 8 days out from Thanksgiving, the first of 2 between the Ravens and Bengals, and Joe Burrow has been listed as a full participant. So that'll be something to watch. Wow. That is an insane recovery timetable for him. He's not playing. But I think where I'm going with this is, one, I'm not surprised regarding Lamar's missed practice, nor am I worried that it will affect his attendance or status for Sunday against the Jets. But as T. Davis just remarked a few moments ago in the live chat, and as we've probably all seen in recent weeks since he returned from his hamstring, Lamar's not the same guy right now physically. And the play calling, I think, reflects that. That lack of extra gear popping up and flashing reflects that. Some of the issues that he's having related to offensive line breakdowns reflects that. And so there's a conversation to be had here. What's the fix? Because while Lamar hasn't had to be Superman since he returned from the hamstring, with the exception of that second half in Miami where I thought he was superb, the Ravens are still winning games and have ripped off 4 straight. I think we all know that at some point you're going to need Mr. Superman to show up to get you a game. And if he's going to be physically set back from doing so, that's a problem. Because while this defense has put themselves and put the team in a position to compete throughout this last month or so, where they've held the Rams team to 17 points, they held a Miami team that, yes, is inconsistent, but also has proven to be explosive offensively to 6 points. On the road in a hostile environment, Vikings to 19 points. Chicago to 16 points, who just put up a few weeks ago 40 plus on a, yes, very weak Cincinnati defense, but they're professionals over there. And Cleveland is Cleveland. We get it. They're one of the worst offenses in the league. But the point is, this is a defense that's allowed for some drag here in the chunk in a favorable stretch of this season, while Lamar hopefully gets himself healthy, and perhaps while the Ravens prepare to make a potential change on the offensive line. John Harbaugh talked about rookie Emory Jones earlier this afternoon.
Progress. Very quick progress. It's only been about 3 to 4 weeks. One of the weeks was it was a Thursday night week. I think his first week was the Miami game, right? So I would say he's made excellent progress, and he's getting pretty close to being ready to play.
Interesting. Day 2 pick out of LSU. He was drafted to be a tackle, but did have some experience at LSU playing both guard and tackle. And he was recently shifted in terms of the various inactive reports, injury reports, from tackle to guard. You heard Harbaugh there too. Quote, he's made very good progress, very quick progress. It's only been about 3 to 4 weeks. I would say he's made excellent progress, and he's getting pretty close to being ready to play. Ravens OC Todd Monken last month talking about the rookie.
I'm excited. I mean, he's worked awfully hard to get back. From what I see, he's everything we hoped he'd be at this point. When you don't go through training camp and you only have 1 day in pads, that's really hard to say. But he's diligent, he's tough, he's a Raven. I mean, you can see that. I mean, he fits here. We have been playing him in a couple positions just to get him comfortable.
That was last month. You heard from Harbaugh earlier this afternoon. Interesting. Okay. This kind of sets the scene as we discussed on the Vault this afternoon, as we also discussed last night on the Collective. Could the Ravens be preparing to replace Daniel Fa'alele with a rookie in Emory Jones? And perhaps could it come as early as this weekend if they're in control of a team that they're favored to beat by double-digit points? Double digits. 13.5, I think, is what I last saw. Ravens-Jets at the bank coming up on Sunday. I would say he's made excellent progress, and he's getting pretty close to being ready to play. While I still don't think it would be wise of us from a coverage standpoint, or perhaps from a fandom standpoint, to put all of your eggs in one basket on a player that has yet to log a regular season snap in his NFL career. Could it get much worse than what they've received at right guard in the form of number 77? Begs the question. Could change be on the horizon? Stay tuned. John Harbaugh was asked about how he evaluates, and this has been the theme of the week. How does he evaluate his offensive line when going up against all-world talents like Myles Garrett and, of course, the talent that is Jim Schwartz's entire defensive front that the Ravens had to deal with on Sunday?
I think you do. You understand the challenge of the play. I mean, every play is graded. Every play is evaluated, and just even more than that, it's just a conversation that we have because, it's a collaboration between coaches, players, coaches, and you're trying to do the best you can. And we had a lot of really good plays executed out there. Myles Garrett got blocked a good number of times, but you look at each play for what it is, and you try to apply what you learn going forward to the next game. and keep rolling.
Tyler Linderbaum caught up with reporters earlier, and Bo Smoko was one of them who, by the way, congratulations to Bo. He's moving to New Jersey for his wife's dream job at the end of this season. I think he's covered the Ravens, he said, for a decade plus. So congratulations to Bo, writer for Pressbox. Great dude. He just caught up with Tyler Linderbaum a short while ago here, who told him that the red zone issues come down to not being able to run the ball well enough. Quote, that starts with us, the offensive line. He says he has no doubt they have the guys in the room to do it, but it has to be better. Yeah, it has to be better. I mean, they're not even scoring. We'll have to wait and see what the numbers are through 10 games, 11 weeks. But as of last week, they were only scoring it 50% of the time or somewhere around that number inside the 20s. That's just not going to cut it. Field goals aren't going to cut it against the New Englands, the Green Bays, maybe even the Pittsburghs. Well, actually, Steelers, Ravens typically are low scoring, aside from the fact that Pittsburgh got ran all over in the wild card round in January. But I think we all know that field goals sometimes do actually cut it for AFC North play and Ravens Steelers rivalries. But you know what I mean? Like, they're going to have to get it together here and start to convert and start to be more creative and consistent in the red zone. And as much as you want to point the finger at Todd Monken, to me, it has everything to do with what Tyler Linderbaum's getting at here. They do not have enough continuity. They do not have enough explosiveness. And there's not enough gelling going on right now with this offensive line. And you might be like, well, how is it any different than last year? Well, look, I think it's easy to discount what Patrick McCary meant to this team. And I want to be clear. I understand that he was the most penalized player within the group last year. Penalties aside, and I know he put him behind the sticks at points with some of those pre-snap, lack of undisciplined reps, but he also proved to be serviceable, and he's durable. And Andrew Voorhees has not proven to be those things through his first couple of years in the league. And Daniel Fa'alele has not proven to be those things. Granted, I guess he is durable, so to speak. He hasn't necessarily been injury prone, but obviously we know that he has his fair share of deficiencies from an athleticism standpoint, technique, hand placement, so on and so forth. So you look at this team league-wide, and I go back to my conversation with Femi earlier this afternoon, and I asked him to rank, his serious concerns. And he began with pass protection. And I don't know how you don't begin with that. But I got to be honest with you, what might be a close second based on the developments in recent weeks, I think it might be growing into Lamar's health being number 2 on that list. He doesn't look the same. And I hope that doesn't come back to bite him. I hope that doesn't come back to rear its ugly head for this team. He's got rough and rugged AFC North play coming up. And while I don't want to sit here and overreact to a missed Wednesday practice, because he's a veteran and he's earned the right to get himself not only prepared for the game on Sunday, but get his body right first and foremost. You're about to play 2 games in 8 days. Or 2 games, it's 8 days out from the game. You're about to play 2 games in 5 days. He's already done that this year. I guess technically he hasn't because of coming back for the Miami game, right? Yeah. And then they had the mini bye leading into the Vikings game. But you know what I mean? I'm concerned. And when you look at that list, I still will put pass protection, or the lack thereof, on that number 1 ranking, if you will. But I think Lamar's health is starting to creep up towards number 2 for me. And then after that, it's to me the less relevant. They're not absolved of blame, but predictability, Todd Monken, I would put those lesser on my list. What say you guys? Where are your concerns at? Let's go to the guest lines. Appreciate you, Will, Manny, and others for hanging out in the waiting room today. This episode's brought to you by my friends at Preston Automotive Group. If you haven't already done so, you can scan the QR code that you see in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, which will allow you to learn more about what's going on at Preston Automotive Group, one of my longest standing sponsors, and the sole reason as to why I have wheels. It's the Bobby Baltimore Bronco. Florida chilling. Not putting a ton of miles on it these days just because St. Pete's so freaking walkable, which I've been loving. But I will always be grateful for the opportunity to partner up with Preston. And at PrestonMotor.com right now, you can cash in on a couple different things that are available to you if you are a subscriber of the channel, one of which is a $500 credit towards a new or pre-owned vehicle if you're in the market for such. And the other, buy 4 tires and you'll receive 50% off your alignment. Got all the links in the show notes. If you'd like to learn more, you can scan the QR code, like I said, in the upper right-hand corner to directly take you to the site. You can contact them by filling out this form right here. And as always, probably the most fun part of this entire process, even if you're just bored, go check out the available inventory they have at Preston. Over 3,700 vehicles right now. And if you're in the area, and by the way, you don't need to be a Marylander to work with Preston. It's shipping is included, which is always interesting for those of you that are national or have since relocated outside of the Baltimore area. Here are a lot of the different, for those of you that are in the area or maybe passing through for a home game, or maybe you're already making plans to be here for a wild card game that the Ravens could potentially host. Yeah, you heard me. There is a scenario that the Ravens could host a wild card game. Insane. Preston Ford West in Randallstown is my home dealership, and you see there's a ton of others, including in Aberdeen, Pittsville, Hurlock, Keller. Brand new one just opened up in the Millsboro area for those of you that are Delaware people. I want to say thanks to Preston Automotive Group for the continued support. You guys know the drill. You can go to Instagram, Preston Automotive Group. You can follow them along. Kyle Hamilton, Mark Andrews, past and present ambassadors. Let's get to the guest lines. Talk to me about your concern level, gauging concern level. And I'm telling you what, I'm not going to burn myself the way that I did earlier this week. I'm going back to 60 seconds. God damn it. That's what I'm doing. As much as I want Will to be co-hosting with me, I know Manny's going to take that inch and run a mile. 60 seconds starts now. We go to the college semester, the first semester. My man, my nephew, who I still owe a piece of vault merch, by the way. I have not forgotten that. It just reminded me. I still haven't found your Instagram message, Will. What the hell, man? Let me know what's up. Welcome back to the program, dude. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. I mean, you also did tell me to send you an email, which I did that. But
oh, shoot. That's why. All right.
But
people are gonna think I'm holding up on you, man. I'm really not holding out on you at all.
Listen, I'm
gonna reset your clock too. Don't you worry. But you sent me an email. Yes, you did. I'm gonna write. Matter of fact, everybody's gonna watch me do this right now because I have a to-do list, both on paper and also digitally. Will vault merch right there, and I know why it was delayed. Okay. And your clock is reset now. Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you, too. So I thought of this. So about the Emory Jones Falele situation, of course, we're worried about the pass protection, but also Lamar's health, which I believe we'll play the Jets. I believe we'll win by a good margin, right? But I think we'll put in Emory Jones at garbage time. See some film, maybe, because very next couple of days we play Cincinnati, or just like, do we really want to put Falele out in a big AFC North game that can help us get up back to the top? So and possibly get Lamar hurt again, because we want him ramped up to be the best you can in the playoffs. So I think pass protection is a big thing, and of course Lamar's health should be one of the first things. Like, you can switch the two around, but yeah, I think those are the main two ones that are big for me, at least. So.
Yeah, the problem is, you said trying to prevent Lamar from getting hurt again. While he's obviously well enough to play, I think we can all agree that in a sense he is hurt right now. And there are a lot of players at this point in the season. I mean, we're approaching late November, for God's sakes. There's a lot of players that are physically hurt and ailing at this point in the season. The question that's sort of a cloud right now over, it's hard to say there's a cloud over a team that's just ripped off 4 straight wins and gotten back to relevance in 500 football. But we know where this team wants to go and what the expectations are. So I am comfortable saying that it's somewhat of a cloud. Because and that cloud is well, how many limitations are attached to Lamar right now?
Yeah.
What is available to Todd Monken within the playbook? Because as we've seen, zone reads don't appear to be open season right now.
Yeah.
And that's a problem in the red zone. Not having Rashad Bateman is a problem in the red zone. Guy was a menace inside the 20 last year. 9 total touchdowns overall. Maybe not all in the red zone. I have to go back and look at that. But he had 9 freaking total touchdowns. And with a multi-week, you would think, timetable with that high ankle sprain recovery, that's a problem. So that, to me, that's something that, look, DPG can say all he wants about overly negative Lamar coverage, whatever. He's entitled to his own opinion. This is back-to-back weeks where Wednesdays, which are install days, the most important day of the week for a Sunday game, Lamar's been out. And while he's proven before that he can overcome that as a veteran and as great as he is, and sure, it's not as pressing on a week that is the New York Jets, this is starting to linger. And on a week and over a span that's about to include, as you mentioned, 2 games in 5 days, one of which might be against Joe Burrow, who's fighting for his playoff life. It's just this is something that's becoming a little bit more ratcheted up than maybe some are willing to acknowledge.
Yeah, and to add with the predictability.
Keep going. I gotta put my shades down. The golden hour sun's coming in. Keep going.
Yeah, I understand. No, about the predictability. We're like literally the amount of times I've seen us go run, pass on the first 3 plays is just mind-boggling. So it's just like Derrick Henry, and then we have to rely on Lamar depending on the situation, whether if it's a penalty, whether if it's a TFL, like your 3rd and long situation or 3rd and short where easy pass breakups can happen, easy drops can happen, because like we don't have Bateman out there. We have Zay Flowers, we have DeAndre Hopkins, but can't always rely on them. I'm not saying I hate on them. I absolutely love them. But when we run the same exact like style, just run, pass, it just puts Lamar again in that Superman situation, which we all are used to. But when he's missing practices left and right, like once every week so far, it just gets to the point like, what are we supposed to do with that? We, again, with Todd Monken, he pulled that rabbit out of his hat with Mark Andrews last week. But, I mean, this can't be going on for long because you got AFC North opponents. You got to fight for a playoff spot. Like, Chiefs can come back and do something. Jaguars are in the hunt as well. Like, anything can happen, and we just got to be not predictable with that. So, yeah.
If this current state of the offense persists, lack of pass protection, limitations with Lamar physically, red zone issues, short yardage issues, so on and so forth, then they are going to put the defense, the pendulum is going to shift. Much throughout the 8 years, the offense led by Lamar, and the injury report just dropped. I'll pull this up as we speak so we can instantly react to it. The pendulum's going to shift. Instead of the offensive side having to be Superman, the defense is going to have to keep up the tear that it's been on, and these turnovers have been coming in bunches. Credit them. They have been making plays. They have, and they've been shifting momentum and giving the offense an opportunity to not scuffle, but underperform in a lot of ways and get away with it. And so I guess where I'm going with this is, if this is to persist, can you trust a defense that throughout the Lamar era has not shown up in the form of, sure, there's been plenty of output scoring-wise, much like the Kansas City game where they played well enough to win defensively. Mm-hmm. But the lack of turnovers have become a total Achilles heel, meaning creating turnovers in the postseason to give Lamar more chances. Yeah. Are we gonna believe that all of a sudden is sustainable, as it has been throughout this favorable stretch, But will it be for the second half stretch against AFC North opponents and stiffer competition like New England and Green Bay?
Yeah.
And will it be sustainable come January? I don't know.
Yeah, because, I mean, again, we've been playing, again, a favorable schedule. I'm getting excited, and just people around me are just like, you're playing bad teams. Don't get too excited. I'm like, hey, I'm excited right now. I mean, we played Drake May. Oh, my gosh. Jordan Love. I mean, it scares me. It scares me. And I'm hoping that PFF grade with Malachi Starks just shows more. So,
thanks, brother. Will, great to see you. Thanks for the reminder on the email. And
of course,
you will be you did include what you wanted, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Good. Later, brother. Thanks for the call.
All right, thanks for having me.
Instant reaction time. Injury report is out. Off we go. And I got bad news for you. Lamar has a third part of his body that has found its way onto the injury report this year alone. Lamar is now dealing with an ankle, which forced him out of today's practice. Not to be confused with last week's knee, and not to be confused with the hamstring that forced him to miss multiple games after exiting in the second half in Kansas City. Whew, boy. Again, don't know the severity. Hopefully, much like last week, he's able to be a full participant for at least a practice or two over the next 48 hours leading into a Jets weekend. But Lamar is now dealing with at least his third ailment of this season. Rashad Bateman continues to deal with his eye ankle sprain. He was a DNP. Kyle Hamilton, a shoulder/groin, forced him out of today. Justice Hill with a toe was a full participant. Good news for him after missing last weekend in Cleveland. Marlon Humphrey was limited with the finger. Of course, he's going to have to familiarize himself with some of the discomfort after having a pin placed. On his podcast, he had it all wrapped up, bandaged up. Isaiah Likely popped up with a calf. He did not practice. Nor did Keon Martin, who popped up with a rib, and that's no surprise. John Harbaugh described it as some chest-related setback that forced him to actually travel back separately from the team on Sunday in Cleveland. He was a DNP. John Harbaugh said it was not as serious as potentially previously indicated, so hopefully that's okay for Keon. Roquan popped up with a hamstring, DNP. Hopefully some of these are veteran rest days and week 12 type of rest days. Hopefully. Ronnie Stanley with an illness, DNP, and Andrew Voorhees with a foot, DNP. So, yeah. The big one that obviously comes to mind here is Lamar Jackson dealing with an ankle on top of the knee, on top of the hamstring. But there are others on this list who obviously mean a whole lot to this team. None more so than Lamar and Kyle Hamilton on each side of the ball, respectively. So that's where things are right now in terms of the injury report. Manny, if you were to rank your overall concern level right now, pass protection, Lamar's health, Todd Monken, where are you putting those three? Welcome back to the program, my friend.
Hey, what's up? I would rank them 9 out of 10. That's my level of concern because you heard it Monday, how he responded to Jeff. You heard it also yesterday and today. It's almost like he's in denial of changing his guards because he knows they're the Achilles heel. And for him to answer, we blocked Myles Garrett, in a few places, like a few. I mean, sorry, he got 4 sacks. And if you play those 4 sacks, those are big hits. Maybe not the biggest hits that Lamar has gotten in a season, but I mean, that's I don't know. Did John Harbaugh turn into Zach Taylor from the Bengals? Because the guy is like, my offensive line is okay, yet Joe Burrow is an IR, and now you depend on Joe Flacco to save your season. What are we doing here, Harbs? I mean, if Bisciotti, if this is win now, Bisciotti, I don't want to know what win later on or soon for Bisciotti is, because this does not echo win now. This echo I don't care about the team. That's what it's echoing from John Harbaugh, from EDC not making the moves. If the Shotty said win now, I mean they're not responding. So
I think we're getting set up right now for an Emory Jones debut at some point. I don't know when that's going to be. They can hope all they want that obviously the Jets becomes a game where you can get a look at a lot of guys in the second half. But that's no guarantee. And they're going to come in ready to play. And who knows? Maybe it will end up being a double-digit ultimate difference in the outcome. Reality is right now, this is a rookie that clearly is garnering more attention right now. And as you read the tea leaves, apparently has more of a chance than Ben Cleveland and or Corey Bullock do right now to be the next man up, if there is to be a next man up. So appreciate the call.
Yeah, but it's what are we going to do if Lamar gets injured? Let's say he doesn't. Let's hope it doesn't. If he's out for the season, is Harbs and EDC on the hot seat? Because you just busted your investment on not changing your offensive line just because of your pride and ego.
Look, the front office, yes, the front office will have to wear that. Yeah, because from a team building standpoint, they knowingly drafted a player who had just underwent a labor and procedure. They knowingly allowed Patrick McCary to leave in free agency, which is fine. Like, they weren't going to pay him what Jacksonville was willing to. And some of his same limitations have, by the way, persisted in Jacksonville. He's still a heavily penalized player. So, and we can go on and on. We can go years back after letting Kevin Zeitler for, I think, like $6 million or something along those lines go to Detroit. And now he's in Tennessee, and the Titans, I'm sure, weren't willing to deal everybody. They did deal Draymond Jones, who's been a great acquisition so far through 2 weeks. But yeah, there's blame to go around, no doubt. And we'll see if Emory's going to save the day. Thanks, brother.
All right. See you
later, man. Maurice, I owe you one, don't I? Yes, I do, Maurice. He's coming on in just a second here. The injury report, the first of 3 this week, just dropped within the last few minutes. And for those of you that are just tuning in, Lamar has his 3rd ailment of the season at least his 3rd ailment. And it's an ankle now that sidelined him from Wednesday's practice. He was a DNP. Last Wednesday, it was a knee. Prior to that, in the Miami game, it was a hamstring that was a multi-week setback. That's what the Ravens are dealing with right now. And a lot of it has to do with the state of their offensive line. Maurice, if you were to rank some of the areas of limitation right now in Baltimore, let's call it pass protection or lack thereof. 1. 2, Lamar Jackson's health. 3, the way Todd Monken's been calling games, particularly in the red zone. How are you ranking the significance of these concerns? What's 1? What's 2? What's 3? Welcome back to the program, brother.
All right, so my ranking for my area of concern for these for these 3 pass protection, my level of concern is sitting at a 10, and as well as Lamar Jackson's health, my area of concern there, the level is also out of 10, because we're like 10, 11 weeks into the season. It's just Lamar has been taking a beating behind his offensive line. And if you're Eric DeCosta, it's like your main priority should always be building your offense around your quarterback, your 2-time MVP quarterback. So you got to prioritize protecting your investment. Now, I do recall correctly, even in years past, when we had other guys on the offensive line, for example, we had Bradley Bozeman and even Kevin Zeitler, like you mentioned earlier. It's we've never seen Lamar take a beating like this. And so, and with these hits piling up and these injuries lingering, it's we have every valid explanation to be concerned. Because if you look at the remainder of our schedule, it's it's like we're going to be facing some more elite pass rushers in the coming weeks. Like with Cincinnati, we got to deal with Trey Hendrickson twice a year. And you look up in Pittsburgh, we got to face TJ Watt and Ricky Jack Sawyer twice a year. And we also got the Packers on the schedule. We got to face Michael Parsons. And just think about who's going to be tasked to block these elite edge rushers. Yeah, there's definitely going to be a level of concern there because at this point, neglecting to make changes and adjustments within the offensive line is like that's just going to further put Lamar's health in jeopardy. It's like bad enough. Majority of our fan base are already outraged by, John Harbaugh and his unwillingness to make these necessary adjustments within the offensive line. And realistically speaking, if we want to have a legitimate shot of making a deep playoff run, it all comes down to making the necessary changes in effort to, strengthen your team on the offensive side of the ball, especially the offensive side of the ball. Defense is no longer a concern for me, but offensive line and play calling from Tom Munkin, those are the main areas of concern there. So something has to change, and something has to change for the better before it's too late. That's just how I look at it.
Maurice, appreciate you, man. Thanks for the call.
All right, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's well said, too. And I think it's all reflected by what you're seeing on the screen right now. Pass protection has been an issue. Lamar Jackson's health, as we're now learning, the latest is an ankle setback, has been an issue. And now the schedule will start to become an issue, if you will, for the next 7 weeks after Sunday. Expecting them to handle the Jets. I think it'll be close. They'll be playing pridefully, even though at times this year, maybe that's been up for debate. As Captain Hard just wrote, yes, Joe Burrow is listed as a full participant for today's practice, and 8 days from now, a week from tomorrow, it'll be the first of 2 meetings within a 3-week span between the Ravens and Bengals. Joe Burrow's 2 months removed now from a toe procedure, and some of you might be out there saying he doesn't scare me, especially coming off such a quick recovery timetable and perhaps even rushing the recovery. And while I get it, and you're entitled to your opinion, Joe Burrow's Joe Burrow. And while the Ravens have had his number throughout the Lamar era and had Cincinnati's number, I'm old enough to remember the barn burners last year, the shootouts that, yes, the Ravens were very fortunate in the end to walk away from victorious. They swept the Bengals last year, needed both of those games. And in Marlon's case, turned Joe Burrow over late in one of them. It still can go either way. I feel the same thing about their matchups with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're 2-0 in the division, off to a great start, sweeping Cleveland for the first time in years. They had lost 3 of 4 at their place going into this past Sunday, and they got the job done. It wasn't pretty, but style points mean absolutely nothing this time of year. Injury report is dropped. Lamar's on it yet again. It's an ankle, not to be confused with last week's knee, not to be confused with earlier this season's hamstring. Jeff Zrebeck on The Collective last night talked about Emory Jones, who John Harbaugh spoke about glowingly earlier this afternoon at his press conference, a day 2, round 3 pick out of LSU as a tackle, has guard flexibility, has not played a snap in the National Football League. But could he be the guy that they want to get a look at in the imminent future?
Change is imminent. I think they clearly would love if Emory Jones gets in there, becomes part of the solution. And I think they've clearly decided that Corey Bullock and Ben Cleveland are not starting NFL guards. And that seems pretty clear that they do not see those two guys as an upgrade over Voorhees and Daniel Faalele.
Are you essentially saying here that there's almost this rushed sense of urgency to get him ready for the opportunity? We saw that subtle change in the position side next to his name go from T to G, tackle to guard. We know that he's weeks removed from being reinstated from the NFI list. And as we've already alluded to, it's months now removed from his post-combine labrum procedure. So can you just kind of dive into that and clarify what you meant by that?
Yeah. First of all, I don't watch enough of practice. We're not allowed to watch enough of practice to know exactly what position he's lined up at all times. But they've been clear that he's been moving around and they've been trying him at guard. And I'm not necessarily saying that they're rushing him to they want him to be a contributor this year. They want to be able to use him. They think he's talented dude who could help them, but they need to get him ready to play. And so that's where it starts, just getting him ready to where he can contribute if needed. If he shows like, wow, this guy's better than what we have, he's going to be in there. So I think there's that idea in mind that he could be an option for us at guard. Again, they're not blind to it, guys. I know people think they are. I know people think that John Harbaugh doesn't want to remove Daniel Falele because he's the coach's pet and all that. But look, guys, it looks worse for John Harbaugh that Ben Cleveland's on the bench. Ben Cleveland is the guy John Harbaugh stood on the draft table for and was begging. He's the guy he wanted to be their starting guard. So he's the guy. Not only was John on the table, trying to get them to draft him, he was begging Eric DeCosta to trade up to draft him. So I think it kind of looks worse on John that Cleveland hasn't emerged as a contributor than it does about how Daniel Falele is playing. I don't think there's any. I know Jim Harbaugh technically discovered Daniel Falele in some satellite camp in Australia, but
that's some deep state conspiracy theories
let's be
right
honest,
there.
Guys. He was way more invested in Ben Cleveland working out than Daniel Falele. So, but they're not blind to it. They know it's been an issue. So I think they're willing. They would love if Emory Jones can step in there. That kid he's an impressive looking dude. He's got a little edge to him. You can tell, but that's a lot to ask. I mean, they always talk about rookies like you're drinking from a fire hose, right? And but this is not only are you playing a position that's not your natural position, you're basically making your debut in November, December while your team's in a playoff race and going to be facing all divisional games. That is a lot to ask. I'm curious this Sunday, guys. You can't assume blowouts in this league. In fact, I think Tyrod Taylor probably gives the Jets a better chance of being competitive than Justin Fields does, just because he's a pro and he can create some stuff. But do you dress Emory Jones and hope you have a couple touchdown lead and you can play Emory Jones? Because the kid needs game reps and the preseason's been over for 2 months. The only way you're going to get reps is by throwing him right into the fire and see how he can handle it. So I am really curious if come it's 1 o'clock game, right? So inactives will be out at 11:30. I'm curious to see if they'll try to look for opportunity Sunday to mix Emory Jones in there a little bit.
When will these reps go his way? John Harbaugh, if you missed it earlier on in the live stream, had this to say about one Emory Jones earlier this afternoon.
Good progress. Very quick progress. It's only been about 3 to 4 weeks. One of the weeks was it was a Thursday night week. I think his first week was the Miami game, right? So I would say he's made excellent progress, and he's getting pretty close to being ready to play.
Okay. Let the scene be set. Could the Ravens be leaning on a rookie at some point in the near future? That remains to be seen. Appreciate you guys for being with me on this Wednesday late afternoon. Over 600 concurrents at the moment. If you could, please like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I just updated the pinned comment in the live chat to reflect the free access code, or I should say the free access link that it takes to join the Discord community. There are over 1,000 of you that make up that 24/7 hub for conversations surrounding Baltimore sports. I know Rave is a part of it. I know Evan and others are a part of it. And I would love for you guys to join. Rave actually just dropped content in there, and all I see is just him screaming. At least he doesn't do that on my channel anymore. Would love for you guys to join. Join it up. Guest link, access link in the live chat. Pinned comment. Can somebody please, before I bring Rave on, can somebody please catch TJ up to speed? Who's going to tell him? Bobby's so wishy-washy, he says. As a Ravens fan, it's ridiculous with the eye emoji or eye roll emoji. He never has confidence in the team. When he does, it's still suspect and low level. Who gonna let TJ know? Somebody let that young man know. Rave, what's going on, brother? Welcome back.
Hello. Can y'all hear me?
Yes,
Everything
sir.
good? All right. Just want to talk on a few things. Oh my God, a motorcycle had to be right next to me. You son of a bitch.
Hey, now.
Anyways,
Be
listen.
careful out there.
Yeah.
Don't get me in trouble now.
So, I just want to address. I want to address a few things. So because John Harbaugh doubled down with this, that Daniel Falala is the best we have. There's some few people that are starting to, be like, well, then maybe Ben Cleveland is worse, which I think a lot of people don't believe that. I want everyone to know this. Daniel Falala, let's say if you went by PFF grades, Daniel Falala has never got no better PFF grade than Ben Cleveland. You can look this up. This is no lie. I'm not making any false accusations. Daniel's best PFF grade versus Ben Cleveland's PFF grade, he doesn't even touch him. He doesn't even touch it. Secondly, if you go by Huddle Up Films, and Bob, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong because he was on you guys' channel on a vote. Huddle Up Films either has said or insinuated that Ben Cleveland is not worse than Daniel Falala. Am I right, Bobby?
I actually can't speak to that. We have Jason on semi-regularly, but I don't remember him saying that. I'm not saying that he didn't.
I said either or insinuated. So then literally he said it, but it was like close to it.
Okay.
Okay, so all 22 films, if you went by all 22 films, he's either insinuated or said it. Right or wrong? All 22 films?
To be honest with you, dude, I'll go off of what you're saying. I don't know. I can't speak to it.
Okay, all right. So basically, and I think Coach Evans as well, I think said it as well, aka Sip the Tally. He said it as well, or insinuated, not exactly if he said it or not, but insinuated. So my whole point I'm trying to get to is any person that watches film or film analysis will say that Daniel Falala's tape is not better than Ben Cleveland's tape. We cannot go by practice. I get it. I totally get it. So maybe Ben Cleveland is out there in practice, and let me just go with the.
Your phone is muffled.
Okay, is it better now?
Yep.
So let me go with the insinuations that Ben Cleveland going at practice. Let's say he's just not caring or not trying hard, being lazy. Let's go with those accusations. But that does not matter. Why? Because he provides good tape on the game days. So maybe he's a better player on the game, even though I don't feel like he's not playing good, because out of Ben Cleveland's mouth he said he's in practice doing the normal thing or whatever. I want to ask you a question, Bobby. In the preseason, John put Ben Cleveland at left guard, tackle, and he did a lot of snaps at center. So let me ask you a question, Bobby. Why did Ben Cleveland not get one single snap in preseason at right guard? Does anybody ever think about that one?
Rave, you know what's so funny about this? Rave, I'm not saying I disagree with it, but you're beating a dead horse. And today, and now we're getting feedback. Now I can hear myself. I don't know what the hell's going on with your phone. Put some headphones in, will you? Jesus. But Rave, you're beating a dead horse. And today there's all this optimism about Emory. Can we at least focus on clearly that's their guy? If you read the tea leaves, that's who they want to give a chance, maybe as early as this weekend.
if it Emory said it himself that he goes to multiple doctor meetings, and the doctors already officially let him know that that man is ready and ready to go. Emory has already said in the interview, he said he's feeling good, he's feeling strong, and he is ready to go. And he even sounded edgy, as confident, like, I'm ready to work out. Hold on. And John Harbaugh said, oh yeah, he went out there and he looks excellent. Actually, he's actually going quicker than we thought. That's what he said. So that is where he been ready. So if there wasn't, like you said, that this Jets game, there's no other reason that he should not be being put in the place of Daniel Falele during the Jets game. And maybe you're gonna wait until later. Maybe you're gonna wait until fourth quarter, not the beginning. But if Emory Jones is not in that game, that Jets game, that proves my entire point about what John is talking about. There's no confidence that Emory's going to take one of the spots. It's over. This dude, John, is stubborn.
Well, how about start with, I know they said they wanted to get away from this, but how about you start with what you did parts of last year at the tackle position and do a rotation? I mean,
I feel that. And here's the thing. I like that. But here's the thing. Why is that like not insinuated from the very beginning when they noticed that his offensive line was bad? Why would we Ben start doing that? Why didn't put Ben Cleveland for a rep at left guard on this play, or Bullock for this play, or Emory Jones? Matter of fact, this game, just I don't understand if that's the case. If we're thinking about, okay, let's bring up the idea of rotations and stuff, they could have been doing that. They could have been trying to find out, okay, well, Ben Cleveland ain't been doing good in practice. Well, let me see some more in the game. Let me rotate him in. But you ain't done that. They ain't done that rotation thing. So it's kind of crazy to me that our optimism is on Emory Jones, but I find it weird that Emory Jones has already stated that he's ready to go. He sounds edgy to his voice, like he's confident, like, dude, I'm ready to rock. His training staff has already let Emory know that he's ready to roll. So,
but he's less than a month removed from being quote unquote medically cleared or reinstated from the non-football injury list. So there's a component of this that you have to protect the player from the player. Of course, he's ready to get out there and let it rip. Where the hell are you? What are you doing now?
Oh, my bad.
Look at this. Look at this shit. This is what I'm talking about. This is the type of stuff in the Discord. Okay, guys. I just updated the pinned comment in the live chat. And it's stuff like this that you can come interact with. Well, shall we say it, like-minded Ravens fans. Maybe you're not as level-headed as you are on camera, which I appreciate, than you are in the Discord group. But here it is. A lot of familiar names and faces. The D-Moneys, the Evans, the Jabos, the Mikes, all these guys. Teal is in here often, I think. Romy Ravens getting after it. It's a great community. I would love for you guys to join, and it's free to do so by clicking on the link that I have right now as a pinned comment in the live chat. Brother, great to talk to you, man.
Everybody join in. I appreciate you, Bobby.
Later, man. Rave Kingdom blessing us, as he so often does, talking offensive line and a number of other Ravens-related items. That's 60 minutes. I am out. Hey, one quick update. Sarah will not be with me inside the vault until Sunday on game day. Everything's fine. She's dealing with some family-related stuff in Columbus, so she is not going to be inside the vault until Sunday, game day against the Jets. So just to be clear on that, ahead of tomorrow, I'm working on a few guests, and we're going to have everything ready to roll for you, finishing off a week. It is week 12. Like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership, and thanks to Preston Automotive Group for the continued support. I will catch up with you guys tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern. Talk to you then.